Good evening, everyone. Probably for the last time in the year of our Lord 2025, uh, we are here tonight, the eve before Christmas Eve, doing a special broadcast. I have an extra special guest and his goblin hordes coming up in just a minute. But some quick announcements. Hey, if you haven't, why don't you subscribe to the channel? We've got great guests, uh, interviews in the comics, in writing, in tabletop role playing game space, and give this video a thumbs up if you could. Next year, we're about to add some exciting features. First and foremost, the draw streams will be back. I have plenty of work on Empire of the Undying Sun. So we're going to be seeing a lot more art coming up, and there may be guests who will also be drawing and talking, and we'll see how that goes. And also, we are hoping to add a new play feature, maybe once or twice a month. We will have creators come on and they'll run us through their new games and show us how cool they are. So if you like that, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button if you would. And the other thing is, yes, videos are back. Actual videos, not just me talking to people, things that I actually had to sit down and think about and record ahead of time. Those are coming back in January. But for tonight, I have a guest. He is a black belt in the art of YouTube hosting. He is a man who has his own following and love of the tabletop gaming spaces. Welcome, Jack McCarthy. And you are still muted. Wow.
Boy, do I know how to make an entrance.
Heck yeah.
How is everybody doing tonight? Yang, how are you, sir?
I am excellent. It has been a long year. It has been a long week, even though it's only Tuesday.
I commiserate. And yet, whilst the joyous day is ahead of us, it does not promise to be relaxing for everyone. Yes.
Yes. I am very happy that I will not be cooking anything this year. I will just be showing up to eat things. How about you, Big?
That's a good place to be in, and I hope to be in the same place.
Any big holiday plans?
Not a one, and I like it that way.
Nice. That's how it should be. So you have your own channel here on YouTube. You have gotten yourself quite a following. Last night, you even had the vaunted T-shirted historian.
It was a lively conversation. We had a vigorous disagreement about Godzilla, as you do.
Yes, and I was, well, I guess I was a little surprised at some of the Star Wars conversation as well.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize people were just that burned out. Like, yeah, I totally would not go see another movie with Rey Skywalker. But Mando season 1 and 2 were all right. I loved Andor. Even if there was not a Star Wars property, it's probably the best TV in about 10 years.
Yeah, I do recall we discussed that when you were on my show, and I've heard that over and over again. I even brought that up last night specifically as one of the exceptional pieces, and he pointed out that I rightfully did not remember that Andor was a character in the movie Rogue One. Yeah, so I'm like, oh yeah, that's how much impact he made on me. And for some reason, I got in my head that Andor was the planet all this was taken on, or something like taking place. Silly me, I don't know. But no, it's as much as anything, I have resolutely determined not to give Disney my money. So I've refused to watch anything they put on Disney Plus just out of principle. And so the
yeah.
more they acquire, the less I'm able to watch. I do a lot of scraping the bottom of the bucket of B movies on Amazon Prime. I subscribe to Hayah there because you know me, I love my wuxia movies.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, some good choice stuff up there.
have you ever searched Amazon for like its like Amazon Prime? Their user interface is completely useless. Uh,
Mhm.
you can't find anything on there. But sometimes when you go through random things, one day I found like well over 100 kung fu instructional videos.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it's like how to do Tai Chi Fan and how to use the chain whip. And it's like, whoa, this is
Right. Those things I have seen them come and go over the years. Similar things, because my discovery was finding the David Carradine Tai Chi and Kung Fu VHSs that I
yes.
used to have back in the day. So those were pretty awesome to see. And then they seem to go out of rotation and maybe come back. It depends on who
Yeah.
has the rights and when. I guess. And but it's cool to know that so many instructional things have made their way onto Amazon Prime. Normally YouTube seems to be the place to go for everything like that, you know, but
Yeah.
more and more
Well,
stuff gets locked behind a paywall, and I think rightly so, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, for me, the problem is YouTube is one of the few sites that has a workable user interface where I can maybe find something I'm looking for. It's gotten a lot worse within the last year, I think, with just like low quality videos that just override, what I'm looking for. Even simple things like, hey, how do I rewire, a three-way switch? Like it should be an easy find, but it's always just like now it's like AI, and it's like I don't know if that's real. I don't know if I'm going to burn my house down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I'm a stickler for stuff like that. It has gotten bad, but thankfully I'm still keyed into a lot of real DIY people and stuff like
Mhm.
that, you know, that I've followed for years. I mean, because that's been my go-to for as long as
Yeah.
as I can remember. If I don't know how to do something, you go to YouTube, you find a handyman who does do it, and then there you go.
Uh, exactly. So you are a big DIYer yourself?
Fairly big. I have repaired my own air conditioning several times since we
Wow.
moved into the house, and it luckily like relatively easy repairs. And I have had to call the repair guy once because it was just I wasn't
Too
sure
much. Yeah.
exactly what part. Yeah, you know. But plumbing and electrical work when necessary, I'll call in the professionals. Mostly plumbing. Like I haven't done enough of that to feel really comfortable doing it. Uh, but I grew up the son of a carpenter, so I picked
Oh,
up a
there
lot
you go.
more over the years than I realized I did.
Yeah, I think we're at a weird place in American history where it's like somewhat of going forward, we're going to be in somewhat of a mix of the 1930s and 1980s, where, in the
Mm,
1930s, everybody would do anything they could to save a nickel.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I recall the 1980s as being somewhat of a time of hope when all sorts of people were just trying, like, oh, I'm going to open a computer business. Computers are new. Or, I'll try this business or I'll go into that field. And I don't know, to some extent, I feel that hope a little bit out there where people are like, F it, I'm tired of working for corporations. I'm gonna start my own gaming company. I'm gonna build my own YouTube
yeah,
channel and
yeah.
work through that.
Well, and I think it's funny that we're not getting away from big corporations as much as we're changing our relationships with them. We're not
Yes.
working for them, so I'm building a brand, a show, a personality, a persona that I can take with me and go to Rumble exclusively if that is the way to go eventually. If the
Mhm.
user experience improves and the audience begins to shift there. I would love to do that out of principle, but like we were just discussing a few minutes ago, that you just cannot turn away from the audience on YouTube. That no one can afford to turn away from that kind of exposure.
Yeah, it's well, Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is none of the other video sharing platforms have done enough to make it worth people's while. Like even Rumble, again, searching, trying to find the things I want to find. If you're not getting on that front page, like I don't know you exist, and people don't know I exist, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
issues with notifications, and are people actually like are people who are sub to me actually seeing the videos I put out? And I would say often no.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Well, and Rumble's not alone. That's the
Yep.
experience on YouTube as well. I mean, very often you know, actively seek out my subscriptions tab and look at what's going on there rather than just sticking to my timeline or my feed or whatever they send me automatically, because they only seem to remember the last 10 channels I watched. And well, I watch a great variety of things. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
different subjects.
their recommendations are getting worse too. Like, I one time watched one of those Reddit videos, um, where they're just reading some story from Reddit one time, and like every
Yeah,
day on the front page I get 3 or 4 of those, and it's like don't recommend channel, and yet
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, you don't want that channel? Well, here's this other channel that has a Reddit story that you once watched 9 months ago. Thanks for doing
Yeah, I know. It's Crit Crab, man. That dude just comes back to haunt me every few months because I watched one or two of his videos. It's
that.
like,
Yep.
and it would be one thing, but I've given that genre a try a few times, and every RPG horror story boils down to, so after I ignored all those red flags, my game went to crap. Can you imagine?
Yep.
Go
And
figure.
so before we move on to gaming, Cyrus asks, did either of you read any of the Star Wars paperbacks? I read some. I read the Timothy Zahn series, The Hand of Thrawn.
I
That was
have
a
not.
fantastic series. Oh,
I've heard that
really?
was fantastic. The only Star Wars fiction I have read, other than a couple of like comic book adaptations or novelizations of the actual movies, I read three Han Solo books
Oh,
that I think are kind of infamous, and it's not in Empire space. It's not really to do with. It's over in what they call corporate space or something like that.
oh, interesting.
But I remember them being really fun stories. I don't remember the author, and I don't actually remember the titles. But it was one of those things I got through the science fiction book club as a kid in the 80s.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, the Hand of Thrawn series. That's where Admiral Thrawn comes from, the blue guy with red eyes. And it's Lucas said these are the Star Wars movies that we never made, but we should have. And
Yeah,
I
I've
agree.
heard that numerous times, and it's uh I mean, I can't even imagine passing that up.
Mhm.
I don't know where the dysfunction, people point out or want to blame Kathleen Kennedy, and perhaps that's fair, perhaps that's not. I don't know. But they really did seem to leave money on the table with that. That I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've heard that estimation numerous times over the years that's what they should have done. That it was sitting right
Yeah.
there. They could have adapted that. We have the special effects for it. There's nothing in there we couldn't do. You know,
Yeah, well, those, if I recall correctly, those were early 90s when they were first published. For that one specifically, I got a lot of problem with Kathleen Kennedy. But for that one specifically, put that squarely on Lucas's shoulders. I think, before he considered the sequel trilogy, he's like, no, no, I want to get in there and do the fall of Anakin Skywalker and blah blah blah, and it's just like, oh, and he screwed everything up. And there's actually some really interesting documentaries. Like, I think it was included on the DVD for the Phantom Menace. There's like the making of the Phantom Menace, and they show the screening of it. And like after the screening, the first screening at Lucasfilm,
Yeah.
everyone's like dead quiet. You could hear a pen drop, and Lucas is like, "Oh, well, that was interesting." Like he realized he kind of effed up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hear pin drop. Well, and that was my experiences.
Yep.
We waited all those years. I was skeptical of them when I heard them announced. I was kind of like, I'm not going to get my hopes up too high. But in the long run, I didn't care that much for the prequel films. I don't especially hate them, but I don't love them like I love the first three. So
Yes,
I
they.
had no enthusiasm built up for the sequel movies anyway.
I have to say, I was totally psyched at that time. I was absolutely waiting for it. But by that point, it's very clear that Lucas has gotten so big that no one dared to tell him, like, "Hey, this sucks." Like, the what became A New Hope. It had Fox all up in his grill, telling him like, "This is no good, that's no good." He had his first wife, who totally saved it in editing.
Mhm.
He had
Right.
all sorts of people telling him like, "No." You had Carrie Fisher rewriting dialogue on sets. There's still videos of like
Mhm.
her and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, like on set, being like, "Yeah, this dialogue sucks. We can't say it." So we ended up getting better dialogue. But by the time the prequels came out, no one could really say that to them.
Yes, he got carried away. I think there are similar examples of people who, without the rails in place,
Mhm.
they lost the recipe that really gave them the real genius.
Sure. I would.
Anecdotally, yeah, I've heard that the Marvel Studios kind of went that way. As early
Oh,
on, they had a council of people that you had to pass everything through,
yes.
that Kevin Feige didn't have free reign, and that's why the original set of movies were such crowd pleasers. I mean, whether you
Yeah.
think they were actually good or not, they were certainly crowd pleasers.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, you don't make $20 billion without making somebody happy. Um, but
Uh,
I feel like that goodwill all bled into the success, and then eventually those guardrails went away for him, and that's when he had full reign, and it just
yep.
did not go well after that, in my estimation. Not to
Yeah.
offend anyone who loves the current Marvel stuff. I'm sure you people really exist.
somewhere, somewhere in an alternate timeline. Um, for me, I would put Guillermo del Toro in the same category. Like he's not quite there yet, but after his recent Frankenstein, it was like, oh,
That was not so
okay.
good.
A lot of people absolutely love it, and I'm not going to say it was totally bad, but it was like the Frankenstein's monster. At some point he gets like everything is put together, and it's like you wouldn't even notice he had scars if he was walking down the street. Like that's a big difference from the monster who has to keep himself separated from the world. And then it was
Yeah.
just kind of boring. But I definitely put Peter Jackson in that category too. He
Yes, 100%. I think, Taika Waititi, just from one movie to the
Yes.
next, they took away his guardrails, and he went from, I loved the 3rd Thor movie, but I haven't even watched the 4th one. I've heard such terrible things about it.
It's bad. It's
Right,
bad, man.
yeah, so,
You
well,
know,
again, I really haven't watched much Marvel since Endgame. I think I watched the Spider-Man one that got good reviews, where they had all the Spider-Mans together. That
oh yeah,
was legit a good, fun movie.
yeah. With the new ones, there's this thing really since Endgame. Like if you don't think about it too hard, it's not so bad.
Mhm.
And like Endgame, I enjoyed it. It was an emotionally satisfying ending to what I consider all of the Marvel movies. But if you really thought about it, it's like, well, why would
The
it
lo the
is?
further you get away from Endgame, the more flawed you realize it is. You go,
Yeah,
Yeah, that was actually pretty weak." But they gave us a lot of, "Oh, my heart" moments. Oh, my
Uh,
heart. Seeing Cap wield the
yeah.
hammer. I mean, come on, Cap wielded the hammer.
And that's how I feel about that Spider-Man one, where it in a lot of ways it was great because there were always arguments like who's the better Spider-Man, and like, no, Tobey Maguire's my Spider-Man, and then, oh, let's forget about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but like they did it in a way that was very respectful to the fans of the old movies while
Yes.
continuing with the new ones. And it's like, oh my god, where has this been for the last 10 years? um,
Yes. Oh
but
my
if you think
goodness.
about it too much, it's
It
don't
really
ever think
does.
about it. Yeah,
The cracks begin to show. Just the very premise of it is okay. So the sorcerer supreme of the whole Earth universe keeps stopping his spell to reverse time and change the whole universe and what people know, to make exceptions for this kid and his my best friend and my girlfriend and my Aunt May and
yeah,
everybody's got her. I can't. I want everything to be different, but everything to be the same. You get me, right? I mean, I remember
yeah.
being a teenager. I remember wanting that. I just the part that sucks is Doctor Strange not going. Kid, I think you need to go away and think about things for a little while. See, he
Exactly.
agrees. He agrees. He's on my side in this.
He's he sounds like he's a big Spider-Man fan there.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
Um, Steve Rogers going back and living his life as intended was great. I don't know. I don't know.
If
It
there was a way to send off that character, that is it.
yes.
I think there's no other better respectful way. You can't just have him die. You can't just have him retire, right?
Mhm.
And it would have felt cheap for him. They didn't give us another decent love interest for him. Peggy Carter was always his true love. So it was sappy, but I bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, the only problem is they set us up for ruin. Like, first of all, they should have had old Steve Rogers come back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a series that, like, man, they really did the Falcon dirty in that whole
Mhm.
series. It could have been good. The whole him becoming Captain America could have worked, but they just didn't want it to. That was my theory.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
they didn't do it well. They didn't support it, but from the moment they introduced Anthony Mackie as the
yeah,
Falcon, I was like, oh, he would make an awesome Captain America. I just wish they had given him a better movie. But to be honest, from what I've heard, that even the storyline and the source material of that story arc was not that good. It was really not
yeah,
well thought out.
yeah. I mean, I think the big problem with it is the Flag Smashers were terrible enemies. It's like another Marvel doesn't understand what makes a villain a villain. So like, okay, they had Thanos, and we understand why Thanos is doing what he's doing, but he's still a villain. He still murdered half the universe.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the Flag Smashers, it's like, yeah, I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but they're still horrible murderers.
Hmm.
So that was problem number one. Problem number two, the whole thing. See, they made a mistake about having a U.S. agent in it. They shouldn't have had that because originally, um, between Cap and U.S. Agent, like Captain America was like a 1960s, 70s leftist. He was like kind of a bleeding heart liberal. He was still pro America, but he really believed in like freedom of speech and individual rights and all that.
Hmm.
And U.S. Agent, he was more like the response to all the violence that was going on then. He was like the Dirty Harry of superheroes, where he would do
Yes.
whatever. So then you have that dichotomy, but they didn't set that up. First, the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier should have been old Steve finds Bucky and
Hmm.
he says, "Hey, Sam is having a real problem. The U.S. government wants him to be kind of too gung ho. You know, he doesn't have the super serum, but he needs to fight for the values that we fought for when we went over to Europe. You know, and so Bucky should have helped Sam Wilson, becoming his Obi-Wan Kenobi, and helping him to figure out how
Ooh.
can you be Captain America while not being Steve Rogers. And that was a whole thing. And it should have been in, like, I think it was in the last episode, like he figures out how to throw the shield and stuff like that. It should have been 10 episodes of that, and 10 episodes of Sam Wilson saying, you know what, I can't be Steve Rogers. I'm not Steve Rogers. So I'm going to do it my way. And then he's still using the Falcon gear, but he's using that with the shield. So he becomes his own Captain America instead of like dollar store Steve Rogers. You know, that would have been a good series.
So really focusing an entire story arc, a season on growing into the role and making it his own. That already
Yep.
sounds more interesting than what we got.
Absolutely. And then, you know, Lee, don't make it I forget the guy's name, the black super soldier from the 1950s who was in jail the whole time. That probably don't remember. They
Oh,
had that.
Blue Marvel? No, that was somebody else.
No.
I'm confusing that with the character from the comics. That was somebody they
Yeah.
introduced in more recent years.
But yeah, but they shouldn't have had him. You had all the flag smashers, like with the
Mhm.
super soldier serum. Don't have any of that. And it would have been great. And then when he becomes his own Captain America, then you could set up US Agent for the next season, because now he has like a strong ideological position, and you can have another superhero
Mm.
opposing that, and you can work out the ideas between that.
So it's funny too to hear you recommend that specifically because from what I've heard, US Agent is one of the few redeeming features of that season of the show.
Yes, but he was set up to be the bad guy, but everybody loved him because
Yes.
he was very earnest.
Fire.
You know, what was he doing? He was rescuing fellow soldiers who were in trouble. He goes to save his BFF, who was effectively his Sam Wilson, his Falcon. You know, and even though he does it in like a dirty Harry kind of way, he's still ideologically aligned for good. Whereas with Sam Wilson's character, they've got him doing so many things. They've got like the weird racial stuff that really made no sense in that context. Like, he couldn't get a loan at a bank. Why would, first of all, why would he need a loan at the bank? He knows Pepper Potts. It's just
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
really
It's like,
you know,
they
and
don't
second of
fund
all,
that stuff.
yeah, and second of all, what bank wouldn't look at him and say, "Holy crap, we will pay," and it was only like $50,000 or something. Like, we will
Right.
pay
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Oh,
$50,000 to be in the heroes who defeated Thanos. We will pay you $50,000 to be in commercials for us.
yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
like how does this guy have
oh,
trouble getting money? You know,
you're hurting me, Yang. You're hurting me. I didn't know this stuff. Ignorance is bliss.
it was
Uh,
it was a
oh,
rough series trying to watch that.
so
But you know,
so
it could have been so much stronger. There's
have you
no.
always
Mhm.
hated yourself and you do that stuff to yourself? I mean,
Well, I
or,
did some reviews for the channel, so yes, I
uh,
do it for you. I do it for you people.
right, right. It's you watch it so I don't have to. That's right.
That's right.
Thank you, Yang. Thank you for your service, man. Hi, woo,
Um,
virtue signaling. Mm.
so Cyrus asks, "Who's the best Batman?"
Oh, I have an answer that will cause people to shriek from here to Gotham.
Yeah, who's that?
Val Kilmer.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Hands down,
Hmm.
he was not served by a great script or a great movie.
Yeah,
Hands down, the best actor to ever play Batman.
that's in it.
He
You know, it's been so
he
long since I've
embodied
seen his.
he embodied Batman and Bruce Wayne both
That is true.
exactly as they are supposed to be. We didn't get
Hmm.
the kind of wacky Michael Keaton kind of Batman, right? Which I loved. I love Michael Keaton. That was great, right? George Clooney, we won't talk about. And who else do you have? Adam West.
Yeah.
I don't care for the uh I actually do not care for the Dark Knight movies. I've watched them. They're
Oh,
okay. I don't
interesting.
hate them, but not on my list of favorites. And as a matter of fact, the Bane movie is downright stupid. The only thing I like about that movie is his voice, which everyone else hates. Oh, I see, Batman. You're about to have your spine broken, you know. Yeah, that really did it for me. That's the only thing I actually liked out of that movie. The rest of it all, just
Yeah.
I don't
You
care.
know, it's interesting because I have to kind of agree with you. I sort of like those movies. The first two, anyways. I think the second one was very well written, but none of them were really good Batman movies. You know what I mean? Like if it were some other superhero, as opposed to Batman, like maybe it would have been better.
Oh my god! Kevin Smith has addressed this, and I'm going to paraphrase him. He quoted Tim Burton during one of his talks. He said, Tim Burton once said, "Anyone who knows me knows I've never read a comic book and I never would." And he says,
Ooh.
"Well, that explains the first two Batman movies, right?" He said
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
he based them mostly off the TV show with his own, Tim Burton-esque aesthetics to it.
Oh, that's interesting. What did you think about the Robert Patton one?
It was okay. I did not like it. Did not care for the Catwoman. I mean,
Mm,
I liked it. Again, when the standout part is the villain and a small villain, not even the main villain, uh,
yeah.
the Penguin. That was great. And of course, that iconic scene of the car coming through the flames
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was legitimately awesome. So a few high points, but overall, it was a miss for me as a movie. I too many plot holes, too many inconsistencies with the character. Don't really like the
Mm.
direction, and I didn't feel like Robert Patton really cared about it.
Uh, I don't know. I kind of liked it. I like this was the first one to me where Batman was a detective, which I thought was really
Hmm.
missing from the comics. He's too grandiose in most of the versions, whereas I thought this one it was more subdued. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Whereas like even the Christian Bale ones, which are I hate to say realistic, but they're less flashy superhero. But even in
Yeah.
those, he just kind of like knows, or like the computer will spit out an answer. Whereas in the Robert Patton one, I feel like they actually went and did the work. There was a lot of stuff in there which could have been better. But I would kind of like to see a second bite of the apple for that. And if they could fix up
Hmm.
the if they could take what worked and fix up the deficiencies, I think it
Well,
could
I
be
think I,
great.
I owe that one a rewatch. I'll give that a rewatch and see what I think of it on the second appraisal, because I think I do see what you're saying about the detective elements that are normally missing from Batman
Yeah.
movies being present. Because normally his detective skills are just sort of, oh, I know exactly what he's thinking because I can get in the head of the
Mhm.
crazy psychotic killer.
Yeah. Um,
Funny how I can do.
and I kind of agree with this one. Dark Knight had a lot of good supporting actors. Like that was the thing about the Nolan series. Like they did have a lot of really good actors who I think, made more of the material than
Oh,
normal actors could have,
I'll give
Like
it that point. That's probably what made them tolerable to me. If it didn't have that great supporting cast, would anybody really care about those movies? The only truly, truly memorable performance out of all of them is Heath Ledger, right? I mean,
uh
we got to. What are the iconic lines of Batman from those movies?
I'm Batman. That's the
How original! You must have slaved for hours to come up with that bit of dialogue. Never heard that one
um
before.
That's true. But I would say that when people are, doing imitations and spoofs of Batman movies, it's usually the Christian Bale, "Hey, I'm Batman,"
Oh,
you know?
Michael Dale points out, of course, there's Adam West Batman, and even the older black and white man one. That is true.
Yes.
When I was a kid in the '80s, from the library, I managed to get my hands on a VHS tape filled up with the old Batman black and white serial where he is
Really?
fighting Nazis. It was awesome. It was
Wow.
he was hunting down Nazis in America. He was an anti-Nazi fighter just from
That's
the
awesome.
40s. They were so cool actually. And the suit looked like the comic book. It looked better than the Adam West suit did. It looked more like the
Mm.
actual Michael Keaton suit. It was actually pretty impressive for the time.
That's one thing that I've never seen. Um, excuse me. I could not manage to find the old serials, but it's definitely on my list to watch if I can find them.
Yeah, yeah, and a slight tangent, but if you ever get the hankering for it, the old Flash Gordon serials are up on Amazon Prime,
Oh, are
and
they?
I've watched a few, and my jaw hit the floor once I realized, oh my god, George Lucas stole everything from this. Even the credits scrolling away
Uh-huh.
from you in that weird perspective, he stole it from that. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that the cowboy movie, The Searchers, John Wayne, and I believe it's Kurosawa's Throne of Blood. Like if you mashed all three of
Oh.
those together, that's Star Wars.
Yes, Throne of Blood is a great film.
Oh, yeah, Michael Dale. Christian Bale's Batman voice ruins it for me. And Ben Affleck, ridiculous. Someone should get fired. That I agree with you on the Ben Affleck. I found it kind of interesting. Like I'm not a huge Snyder fan, but I found it interesting that he tried to make his superheroes like, oh, well, Batman's been around a while, so now he's like old and sad Batman. Like,
Mm.
I give him a little bit of props for trying something new. It's just not something anybody wanted.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of wonder what if Ben Affleck had been given Batman back in the '90s and part of that franchise? Could he have, if it was him instead of George Clooney back in the day?
Yeah.
That could have been something special. I actually did like Ben Affleck as Batman. I just don't like those movies overall. They don't hold up to the test of time. They're okay, a fun
No.
brain dead watch, but don't
Uh,
really make the list of favorites.
I mean, Ben Affleck can be a good actor. I just don't think we saw that in any of the Snyder Batman films. There was just nothing for him to kind of hang his hat on. And the other part is he's older, and he's not in Batman shape. He would be like Batman from Batman Beyond, where he's like, "Okay, Terry,
Pattinson?
go do it." No, Ben Affleck.
I
Like,
mean, but yeah, but Ben Affleck's not in Batman shape, but Pattinson?
yeah,
Wiry,
I mean,
skinny. I mean, he didn't exactly wow me with the physique that I recall in that movie. So I
yeah,
think Ben Affleck was in better shape playing Batman than Pattinson was.
yeah,
I need
yeah.
side
You
by
might be
side.
right on that.
Somebody do a photo comparison and tag me on Twitter or something. I need experts to weigh in on this.
He
I'm
was
out of my
great as
depth.
the Angel of Death and Dogma.
What?
I didn't love Dogma.
I can understand that. I liked it when I was feeling much more subversive against Christians and stuff like that. It does have its points, and of course, Alan Rickman
Yeah.
with Metatron is
Well,
worth seeing. I think
Alan Rickman's good in just about anything.
Yeah, yeah. Name the movie he's in. Have you ever seen A Cut Above? True Alan Rickman fan question.
No, I have not.
Then you are not a true Alan Rickman fan. You must watch A Cut Above.
Okay,
Found
I'll
out
have to
in the
check that
chat
out.
if you've watched A Cut Above or even know what I'm talking about, and I know Velma does. Velma remembers that movie.
Yeah, so Michael mentions Kilmer Batman, too over the top comic book style of a movie for me. Cast was great, but movie. Yeah,
Right. I agree. The movie, he was not served by a good movie. I stand by my statement that he is the best actor to play Batman. He did it the best, despite not having a good script.
Who played the best rich guy with a brain to make those wonderful toys?
Elon. Elon.
He would be. Well, I don't know.
Oh, he means in movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the movie we call life, but the no, in movies. Well, and now we've got Yang gone. So I've taken over the show. The goblins have taken command. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
So the goblins, that was their diversion. They're now going to mount their main offensive soon, I'm sure. But speaking of best rich guy who makes those wonderful toys, Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. was a star casting for me. Similar character, very different themes, but also the characters that historically have grappled with their own deeply flawed character in some way.
Yeah, I agree. He was fantastic in the at least the first Iron Man, and maybe the first two, were what would have happened if the modern interpretation of Batman wasn't like it is. Like, I would say the modern interpretation is he is Batman and Bruce Wayne is the alter ego, which I don't like that overall. But with Tony Stark Iron Man, we get to see, Tony Stark, like you said, grappling with his demons. He's in the cave. He's got to be more than he could be. He's got to do sleuthing, figure out that Obadiah Stane is, trying to kill him, trying to take over the company. So we get to see him do more Bruce Wayne things than we ever see in any Batman movie.
Beautiful synopsis. I love that. That's a great comparison. And again, just definitive proof that Iron Man is the superior hero. That should hurt some heads. That should get some hate mail.
Yeah, and I liked too that it really set up potential ideological differences in the Marvel universe. Like, one of the great things was he was BFFs with Steve Rogers, and he had all that hero worship because his father would talk about him all the time. But they were like on opposite ends of political spectra in Civil War, and like that was set up very well, whether they intended that or not. But I think having the superheroes take specific ideological positions, whether you agree with them or not, as long as they're reasonable for that character, is great. We never saw any of that in any of Snyder's guys. I mean, they kind of sort of tried it in Batman versus Superman, but then their moms were named Martha, so it was all okay.
Ooh, yeah. That puts a very fine point on the entire that literally is the moment that movie really falls apart.
Yes.
It's like it was kind of almost hanging together up until that point. You got a good scrappy fight scene between the two of them that was done well with practical effects as well as CGI, and then that happened.
Yep. I mean, there were some things that I didn't like from earlier in the movie. I didn't like Batman basically killing people, going around with machine guns, and and they kind of try to set up the Flash thing from the future, and like it was just weird.
Oh, okay, pardon me. I got to turn in my Alan Rickman card because Velma's telling me she thinks it was called Blow Dry, not a Cut Above. I think a Cut Above was the salon he worked for in that movie. Yes, it's a movie about cutting hair competitively.
That sounds awesome.
Watch it. It's Alan Rickman. You will thank me.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. But I would be remiss if I had you on and we didn't talk about anything gaming.
Well, I do kind of, revolve most of my life around that particular activity. So it's funny you should bring it up when you have me on.
So one thing I guess I didn't realize is that, so you do have a background of playing 5e somewhat, right? A little bit.
Very
Okay.
little. So my
Mhm.
5e experience consists of one or two solo jaunts when I bought the books back around the time they were released, and then I played a one shot or two with somebody I met through X, and he got me into a couple of one shots, and that was my first time playing online, really. And then from there, I got invited into what I'm currently doing, which is a 5e play by post game in
Oh.
Discord. And that's been super interesting. It's being run by Serious DM. It's called Drakenheim. Great story. We've actually even just wrapped up the first phase of the campaign, and we're launching into a new one where, big changes in the world. They're
Mhm.
doing different experiments of how to take Bronstein principles that have been discussed a lot in recent times. The one-to-one time, the
Yep.
downtime orders, that those kind of more war game elements and faction play, in addition to like trying to create a world where people can play their singular adventurers in. And been really very fun, very interesting, and a lot of lessons for me to learn immediately in the first iteration of the campaign I was playing in. He said, you can play whatever you want, go through the monster manual, pick what you want, and you can play that, and that'll be your faction leader, and we'll build a faction around that. So we've got a world with ancient dragons and archmages. It was like anything from the monster manual or a 20th level PC from the player's handbook. If you want,
Nice.
do what you want, right? And build your faction from there. And there was all kinds of craziness going on, awesome stuff, wizards, warlocks, ancient dragons. And the first character I played, I took over a faction someone else started, was actually a beholder. And
Mhm.
and I did the best I could with it, but between not really knowing fifth edition myself and then also having a real kind of a beefy character sheet, and then a whole faction to juggle underneath of that. It was very overwhelming. I suffered from a lot of analysis paralysis and had trouble really engaging with
Yeah.
the game. And frankly, role playing a beholder is more difficult than I estimated. I figured, I'll get a feel for it. I'll make something up. It'll stick. It was really kind of hard to come up with fiendish plans. So that then I antagonized some powerful wizards and they wiped me out. So that faction was done. It was good. I think I'm going to do something a little bit more low key. And I said I'll play a tribe of goblins. And it's okay. So I'm a little fifth level goblin out in the middle of the woods somewhere, leading a little tribe, and we're trying to be good guys. We're protecting people and stuff like that. At that point, I really began to engage with the game better because instead of looking at this huge map, Thunder Moose, glad to see you, bro.
Hey.
Instead of having to engage with this whole map and make a grand strategy, I was able to focus in on my little section of forest with a couple of towns nearby and start on a lower level. And that was a better, easier introduction for me into not just learning 5e, but playing a faction and making real movements in the world. So that was where, my involvement with the game really ticked up, and it's been a great story, tons of fun, and a lot of interesting stuff happening. We're now in the next iteration, instead of everybody playing big beasts, everybody's starting out as a first level character, but we're still sort of trying to launch factions and build nations and see how the world shapes itself, instead of the
Interesting.
DM deciding there's an evil wizard over there doing something or other, and waiting for you guys to come and stop him from whatever he's about to do. There's really a player over there playing an evil wizard, and he's got plans, and we got to keep an eye on him, right? Because
Hmm.
in the previous phase of the campaign, bad things happened when we didn't keep an eye on the bad guys. Really bad things. DM Raptor, I'm looking at you, DM Raptor, King Eldon, Undead
Uh,
Plagues. Ugh, it was ugly, but
that's
tons of fun.
interesting.
Actually, I'm having a great time with that.
I'm curious in the future to hear how that goes. Uh, for me, I always thought like level one characters, really shouldn't have much influence on the world at all. So I'm interested in seeing how, as level one, you go about starting to build factions and whatnot. It's an interesting place to start.
It
Uh,
is, and I think we're kind of doing a baby steps thing. I think he's planning on bringing us up to 5th level or something like that, and still being very low powered in the
Mhm.
grand scheme of things. But as you might have imagined, the magics and such being thrown around with a ton of high level creatures and characters wandering around got to be a little excessive. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
constant meteor swarms and time stops and cliffs, and it's there are many, 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 many powerful gameplay loops to be exploited, of which I know none. It was like, I'm sitting there with a little goblin with my finger up my nose, watching all these meteor swarms and spells and death spell and everything going off. I don't.
Uh,
And somehow I lived through it all.
so I know you also like a lot of old school 1E type of D&D gaming, I believe, unless
That
I'm wrong.
is yes, yes. As a matter of fact, Scudder for Mike, he's a YouTuber like us. He's got his own channel and he does a channel membership. He's so
Mhm.
big he's monetized now. But you can sign
Ooh.
up for a channel membership for the whopping backbreaking sum of $1 a month.
Hmm.
And that fee gets you entrance into his private Discord server where he runs games for us. So, at first we were
Oh.
doing some other stuff, played some Mothership and everything, but for the last month or two, he revived his first edition AD&D campaign and brought all the channel members in on it, and it has been so much fun. So much fun. I've been generating memes, like one meme per session based upon my experiences. So if you've seen them wandering around, it's the adventures of Harold the Handsome, the one hit point fighter.
Very cool. So since some people would say they're polar opposites of gaming, I don't necessarily agree with that. But what's your takeaway of playing in 1E games versus playing in 5E games? What would you say are the differences?
They are completely different game
Hmm,
experiences. It's as different as if you were playing Shadowrun at one table and BattleTech at the other. The systems
interesting.
result in such different experiences. Literally, there are some words in common. Yeah, as in there are still fighters and there are still
Yeah.
there are still clerics. Various things like that, but for starters, the power scale of a low level
Yeah.
character is completely different. You are a frail mortal, highly skilled, that's why they call a first level fighter a veteran. You are trained and skilled above more so than the average person, but you still are quite fragile and frail. And so the kind of whereas in 5th edition, by comparison, you are comparatively tough. You have
Mhm.
more hit points. You're guaranteed to have max hit points at first level, and and uh, and like I've said in other things, well, this is more for D&D 24, but it's hard to escape character creation without spells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's
Yeah.
very easy to have spells, and the spellcasters are more powerful. By default, it's a high magic campaign because
Yeah.
the characters have magic they never run out of. They always have that prestidigitation or that light or that firebolt or what have you. So there are so many things that get taken off the table with that being the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
Um, so when it comes to that, would you say how would you say the feeling of the campaigns are different? So you mentioned you're tougher in 5e, but are there other like does it lead to different play decisions for you?
100%. So the kind of decisions I've had to make as playing rules as written first edition and ending up with a fighter of one hit point because you roll it.
Yep.
I got no hit point bonus because I don't have just a great con either.
Mhm.
One hit point is what it's at, and yet because my armor class is still so good, I'm still the best candidate to be in the front line. They have less chance to hit me than still the wizard who has
Mhm.
3 times as many hit points as me. You know, but the kind of decisions that you make in the 5e game, it promotes cinematic, good action TV show or comic book, even anime kind of style of action. That's what it wants you to do. That's what the game lends itself towards.
Yeah.
So, people who like that and enjoy that play style, which I think it's perfectly valid. It's more like playing a a superhero kind of a game with fantasy tropes and themes than it is uh, the hardcore sword and sorcery roots that the older editions embrace. But it
Yeah.
absolutely does inform your decisions and what you do at the table as your individual character. A first level fighter in 5th edition is completely different than a first edition fighter at first level.
Yeah, yeah, I'd have to agree with all of that. Excuse me. Yeah, it's uh, I don't know. I kind of like them both for different reasons. For me, it's all about like what kind of game do you want to play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
and
think I personally like the feeling of a lot of the earlier sword and sorcery games.
mhm.
However, if you're playing, the sandbox guys always hate me for saying it, but if you're playing a game that isn't necessarily on rails, but maybe it's near the rails, you're
Uh,
kind of
a
like in
guided
the
tour? How dare you, heretic?
yeah, not even necessarily that much, but it's like you want some story, or you manage to have some storylines. I think I like the way that 5e can kind of get there. Now, I would say, by the 2024 version, it's like that has gone off the rails in the bad way. It's
Mm.
too hard to kill, or too hard for players to die. Too many exceptions to rules and whatnot.
Okay.
But the 2014, if you're there with the release version, I think it's fairly decent.
Um, you know, over time, I think I've said this before, but that's my general opinion of every edition of D&D. It is
Yeah,
actually at its best if you use just the 3 core books. And if you stick to those 3 core books, use just those, make your players stay within those books, you will actually have a great campaign, whether it's 4th edition, 3rd edition, or, even 1st edition. Because even in first
yeah.
edition, once you introduce Unearthed Arcana, your campaign goes way over there. It's out of your hands now.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, at least from a business sense. Like once you release those core books, you have to release something else to make money. And
Yes.
people can only play so many campaigns, so you could only make so much money selling campaign guides.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, let's update the rules. Let's parrying and pushing people back when you're hitting them and this stuff, and things that maybe were features of higher level play for like a fighter or a wizard or whatever. Like now it's reduced to earlier, and the characters are even more powerful early on. Uh,
So I understand the problem you're talking about, and I even have a solution.
mhm.
Okay,
No
so hear me out.
excuses.
You understand that like they said, once people have bought the core books, that's it for them,
Yeah,
and we know that in the modern audience, especially by and large, a lot of people only buy the player's handbook if they never intend on
yeah,
dungeon mastery. So what do? They make all the player options. They make things that players want to consume.
yeah,
Now, let's go back to the halcyon days of TSR. How did Gary originally solve that problem? They had the core books. What do we sell them? Modules,
yep,
right? Problem being, well, again, you're limiting it to the DMs. That's like making more rule books, adventure books, only DMs buy them, which is like 10% of the population. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Solo modules, game books.
Mhm.
Make something for the players to buy that they can use themselves.
Yeah.
So sure, and they don't have to be long. They don't have to be elaborate. They can even be a repetitive procedural random dungeon thing or what have
Yep.
you, right? And again, they could just wire that. They put up a simple dungeon BTT on D&D Beyond and let people take their characters in there. And okay, the stuff you found is yours, and the experience you got is yours. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, my only problem with that is that, if I'm running a game and somebody's like grinding out solo mods, and the party's like fifth level, and the next time the fighter's 10th level, like that, what position does that put me in? That's well, if anything, that's one problem I have. So in doing Empire of the Undying Sun, I've been running test groups, right? And when sometimes people will have to drop out of test groups for various in real life reasons, and we go
Sure.
trying to pick somebody else up, and it's like I'll post something on Roll20 for it, and then I'll get a response that's like, "Hi, I play a tiefling blood hunter whose parents died in a horrible fire, and he had their blood on them, and now he goes through the world in angst to try to, It's like, yo, bro, just roll some dice, just pick a character. It's you don't need that. So to me, like, take like having your character, like when you only have one character and you're taking that from game to game to game,
Mhm.
if that character dies, people are more likely to take that personally. Whereas, like, as like a 1E player, you probably have a folder of extra characters already rolled up just in case.
Hey, I would be remiss not to mention the Dungeon Delver and
Mhm.
say Crom, get Crom, because
You need it.
anyone who has rolled up a first edition character by hand knows that it can be a troublesome experience to the point where you do need a guide from Dundermoose if you're going to do it by hand. But
Yeah.
Crom is push of a button. It's I can do this all day. Give me another character. Give me another character. Give me another character. Oh, what do you
That
know? This one's chaotic evil. Oop, did I say that out loud?
it's funny you mentioned that because
Dundermoose.
for anyone who does not know, I played in the Dungeon Delvers Friday night Gamma World game. And after he came out with Crom, we were like, dude, you need to make this for Gamma World because you're blowing through. Like, some of us were rolling up like 2 characters a session. It's like, come on, man, you gotta do something about that.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. If we're playing Back Me, fine. It takes me 5 minutes to roll up a character.
Yeah.
This is like roll the stats, choose your class. That's it. Beyond that, we don't have to matter. I got to highlight too, Dundermoose. In Trollopolis, my level 1 wizard started with level 5 guys. I stayed behind them, cast my 1 spell per game, and lived to rake in a ton of gold and XP. Now,
Mhm.
this is a difference between the editions I would like to highlight is in the older editions, for those who aren't aware, each class has their own level table and requires
Mhm.
their own levels, amounts of experience to progress up through the levels. Unlike the modern, 5th edition and later editions ones, those basically doubled with each additional level. So it was 2000 XP to get the second level as a fighter, and
Yep.
then 4000 to get the third, and then 8000 get the fourth, so on and so forth up the line. Well, one of the buried gems of genius in AD&D is in that math, because if I'm playing a fifth level wizard and I just made fifth level wizard and that's 50,000 XP, Dundermoose joined on that session. He's got 0 XP. He's a first level wizard. Well, by the time I've earned another 50,000 XP to make it to sixth level, he's earned 50,000 XP and is just hitting fifth level. In the long term, you are only ever one level behind the party in general when you're playing 1E. It's
That makes sense.
actually kind of designed for you to join at first level, no matter what level the rest of the party is.
Hmm. So Dundermoo says, we used a rule that the treasure and XP shares were proportional to level, so there wasn't a slingshot effect.
Even so, there's a lot of things that, particularly beating monsters, that they would be getting fractions of XPs because of the way you divide the character level by the XP total compared to the first level character. You're the only one who's getting full XP for that. But then again, in the early editions, the XP you're getting from defeating monsters is a pittance. Everything comes from treasure, whether it's coin or magic items. And that's the real thing that's going to cause you to level up and is going to cause level disparities within your party, because each treasure item, magic item, comes with an XP value, and that XP goes in full to the person who gets the character that gets that item. It doesn't get spread out equally to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Thunder Moose. I didn't know that it was raw how they wanted to divvy up the XP, because Mike's.
Oh, interesting.
Mike, our dungeon master, Scudder from Mike, is given whoever gets the magic item is the guy who gets the XP for it.
See, that was Gamma World basically worked the same way, and I did not like that. I did not like that at all. Now, leveling in Gamma World is not that exciting. So in that sense, it didn't matter. But it's like we would discover, like a suit of battle armor, and it would be like, okay, you now get 9,000 experience. Go level up twice. And like my guy found, and like I give it to somebody else because it's better for the team for them to have it. And I got like 2 experience for finding rocks or something. So that's the one thing that I don't. I mean, I guess gold is more fungible. Like it's easier to divide up rather than like, here's a laser pistol. We can't divide that 5 ways.
Right. Yeah, you can't. Well, and I guess that's the thing is, what we did when I was a kid playing this game is we totaled up the XP for magic items, and then that was part of the total that was divvied up to all the players equally.
Yeah, I kind of like that better personally.
It is probably better and more fair because it's kind of so, like, say you're playing a first level paladin at the table, and lo and behold, the random treasure tables drop a holy avenger on you in your first session. Not only do you have a holy avenger, you get all the XP to go up to level 2, right? Yeah, immediately just off of that.
Yep. So
the counterpoint, though, however, is that training times and training costs would keep that paladin at first level for quite a while until he attained a significant amount of wealth.
Yeah. Speaking of paladins, back in the old 1E days, paladins and bards, they were kind of super classes that you had to work your way towards. Do you think modern gaming sort of suffers from a lack of it? So certainly 5E, all classes are basically available from the beginning, but even other systems, Draw, Steel, I believe Pathfinders are like that. You don't have those heroic classes that you have to work, that are aspirational classes. Let me put it that way.
Well, I think it is to the detriment of the game, and it's one of the things that makes every class feel samey same when you play them. And part of the complaint of what makes a dwarf different than an orc in the rules, except for the aesthetic? One has green skin, the other has a beard. Now, going back to those original ones, those differences were baked more into it. And to go one of our modern sensibilities is it for some reason pains us greatly to say, no, sorry, you just don't have the talent to do that, which is the case for first edition paladins. Just the fact that you need a 17 charisma, just rolling a 17 is a rare thing in first edition, depending on the rules you're using to generate your ability scores. But then to have a minimum of 17 charisma in order to be a paladin. That weeded out most characters. So you were lucky if you had a decent strength or any other decent stats. But there were other minimums that you had to meet, but it was entirely possible to be, hey, I'm a paladin, but my strength is a 12 or something. You're not going to be sweeping the battlefield clean anytime soon. But that's one of those things that is missing, is that there are these special classes or castes or type of characters that you can only be if you're lucky or born into the right position, or you had to put great effort into acquiring those skills, because that's
Yep.
what the bard was. That was the original prestige class. You had to get to at least 5th level as a fighter, and then switch to a thief, and get to at least 7th level as a thief, and then you switched over to drill, and then that's when you were officially a bard. Don't quote me on that. It's probably different, but and yeah, Dunder Moose is saying gold feels relatively meaningless in 5e.
Yes,
Interesting
but
comment. Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, it kind of, I understand what he's saying, because first of all, people give out gold like candy, for not great reasons, in my opinion. I think characters should start as relatively poor for at least the first several levels. But the big problem is, 5e, for whatever reason, was missing a lot of that domain play at the end. So what happens is you don't have anything to really spend money on. A set of full plate armor, I think, is like 1,500 gold, which is still a good amount of money in 5e. So it would really take a player time to work up to a set of full plate. But where you really get gold is like, okay, you inherit or you build a fortification. You have to have staff for that fortification. You're probably going to have peasants in the area that you need to protect, and maybe sometimes you need to supplement them if there's a bad harvest or whatever. You're going to need money for fighting people and for armies, and the ridiculous amounts of gold that you can get in 5e actually absolutely works just fine when you have like 5
Things to spend
platoons
that
of,
gold on.
yeah, 5 groups of archers and whatnot.
Yeah, paying for troops. However, and that's the counterpoint. That's the strike against 5e, is none of that is baseline in the core books. You have to go to other books or other editions. And first edition, it's all in those core books. So
I definitely give the my nod to 1E in that area. Like it's definitely a more complete system. And also I think that's why a lot of people complain about higher level play in 5e, is because it tends to be more of the same, because like you're just fighting monsters and enemies that have bigger pools of hit points at like, is there that much of a difference between level like 8 and 15? To me, it's not that much. Whereas if you have the domain fighting in there,
yes.
it gives you a lot more opportunity to you could have your player versus different units of players, and also the stakes are much higher.
You have hit on the key difference, right? And it's a little bit, it's even a bit bigger than what you encapsulated with the domain play, is that the reason high level play fails is you're not supposed to be just crawling dungeons anymore and fighting monsters. You're supposed to change the type of game you're playing. So if you don't want to build a domain, then fine. If you're a high level rogue, you should be starting a thieves guild. You should start spying. You should start high level heist. You should have smaller thieves working. If you're a cleric, you build yourself a temple and follow those things. You're supposed to play a completely different game. And while it's talked about, they mention it in the core rules with the various tiers. They don't really go into much detail in telling you how to structure those adventures, what they should look like, or to my knowledge, even producing adventures that do that for you. I think that's why so many people are like, Harkening back to Birthright as such a popular setting because that sort of was baked into an earlier edition.
Yeah. So here we said D&D is a unity of complex systems. The modern version takes some of those and acts like they are the whole. You can't take out half the gameplay and play with the same rewards. Yeah, I'd agree. So I would say that, well, like Jack was saying, they are kind of different games. Number one. So,
Very.
I would never say that 5e is the same as 1e. Um, I I would, if I had to give a knock to the 1e stuff. Um, I think now, 50 years down the line, we can understand how your game is going to change when you change parts of those rules. So XP for killing monsters only. In some ways, that makes sense. You don't have the fights and arguments over loot as much, or the over reliance on it. But you get murder hobos. XP for gold, it fixes up a lot of the problems.
Yes.
With well, there's no reason to be a murder hobo if all you have to do is steal the gold. Number one, and number two, it does make it easier to have disparities in levels.
Yes.
So there's that. And then you also have the other one that I'm totally blanking on, milestone leveling. And one of
Yes.
the one of the big arguments against that, of course, is it can feel too much like a video game. Like, okay, we beat the big boss, now we level up, and that leads to, in my opinion, very boring play. However, the way I usually see milestone leveling is if I'm the DM, your party must have done enough stuff to warrant leveling up. And when you have done enough, then I will allow you to level up, whether there's a boss or just other things in the world are playing. And the upside of that is you're not overly reliant on gold. You can play like if you're playing monks or something. You're gonna give all your gold away. That's more natural. And
Right.
you don't have the murder hobo problem because you're not incentivized to kill every living thing that you come across. And then, like, I can kind of reward you for other play. Like if you're a troop of clerics and in your downtime you go around healing people, then I can. I mean, you could do it in an XP, in a more formal XP game as well. But you give XP for those things. So
Absolutely.
it's an issue of the modern games. You should have a choice, and I really think that authors who are making the games should explain to potential DMs and players, like, look, if you're using these kind of rules, you tend to get these kind of outcomes. And so it's up to the DMs to understand what kind of game they want to play, and then it's up to the people writing the content, like, look, this tends to be what happens, so choose your rules before you start out and have fun with whatever kind of game you want to play in.
Right. Well, I I would say that when it comes to those decisions, the main thing to remember as a DM, whatever your system, whatever your edition or game system that you're playing, remember that whatever you're giving experience points for is the behavior you're going to incentivize at your table.
Yeah.
If you're given gold for XP or XP for gold, that if that's your paradigm, they're going to think in those fashions. They're going to be focused on loot. They're going to be focused on getting a good share of the loot. And they're going to be focused on getting it with as little risk as possible. If you only reward fighting monsters, then that's what they're going to do. Now, for my part, I have run entire campaigns where I rewarded it purely on role playing. I tossed all the XP rewards. No, nothing about gold, nothing about monsters. It was, how did everybody role play? What were the scenes like? Well, what's going on? What's the story? Are you guys advancing the story? And I just advanced the group. It was effectively, I would say, it was milestone leveling. because I knew how much I was giving everybody. It was third edition at the time, so everybody was on the same XP chart. But that's one of the things that I have taken that to heart. Like you said, milestoning is good because milestoning also provides you the opportunity to set specific things you want them to do. Like, okay, you're fourth level thief trying to get to fifth level. You are not getting fifth level until you've burglarized somebody's home. You got to do that.
Yeah.
Figure out when and how you're going to do that. Until you've done that milestone, you don't get fifth level, period. And that way I think that would have provided them an opportunity to reinvigorate that old school feel by making the classes tied to specific milestones. Maybe
Sure.
maybe you have to build a keep to get ninth level as a fighter. That's how we introduced
Yep.
that domain play back into it.
Absolutely. And if people think it's out of place, remember Luke Skywalker could not become a Jedi until he faced Vader again. So there's nothing. See, some of it I think comes out of the total sandbox type of play, where like okay, just random stuff happens at random time. I prefer something that's a little bit more story oriented. I don't want a game that's on rails. I don't want to do Dragonlance, but I like something where I have something to aim towards, and whatever path I take towards that goal can be different. But I definitely think you're right. Like if you're talking about like let's say clerics, and you want to move up in your priestly order. Well, that's along the lines of leveling up, right? If you're talking like 5th E, by the time you're like level 15, you're like the Pope of whatever religion you are. So
right.
So at some points in there, you should be doing things that somebody in your order would do. So like I was saying, like are they going out healing people? Are they taking other clerical matters into consideration? In play, like right, nobody's saying don't fight, don't get into combat. Only host weddings or something like that. Bar mitzvahs,
So we didn't happen to have any high-level cleric stomping around, but that was one of the interesting factors of the play-by-mail game I was just talking about, was that you did have very, very powerful entities like that being active in the world. And that makes the world a lot more dynamic and complicated than you might think. That mountain... Yeah, that mountain that was there yesterday is not there today because somebody moved it.
Yeah. So and again, I think XP for gold is fine. I think XP for killing stuff is fine. But there are pluses and minuses to any system that you're going to use.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that one is better than the other. It's what effects do you want to have on your game, and you got to pick the one that goes with that.
Correct. Yes. If I love polka music, I don't buy tickets to a rock concert and then get there and try to get them to play polka music for me, right?
Yes.
I go to a polka concert. If I want AD&D first edition, that's what I go play. But I do think that there is, like we were saying, even the newest books, the 2024 books, man, there's something I like about them. There's something that draws me to them, and I'm going to play that even if it's solo, right? Just like every other game that I can't find other people to play with.
Yeah, I do think that that is something that I think really lacks in most modern versions is the lack of solo gaming. Some friends of mine are really into draw steel. So they got me, I play in a, like once a month or so, we play draw steel. And it's an interesting system, not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. But like a lot of other newer systems, that and the Critical Role one that I can't think of the name to, like there's no solo play anymore. And I think they need to bring that back.
Well, it's kind of funny too, because solo play today, from my perspective as a lifelong solo player, it's more popular than ever. And it's even shocking the amount that it is represented in various games and in various ways. And so I agree. And the important thing to remember too is there's no such thing as a role playing game you can't solo. Give me the Draw Steel book. I'm just going to pull Mythic GM
Yeah.
emulator off the shelf, and we're rolling, baby. If I know the system, I can run a game impromptu and just use an Oracle. It's everything I need.
That's awesome. So here we are at the closing end of 2025. What are you looking forward to in 2026? Any game systems coming up that strike your
Oh,
fancy?
so I have a ton of systems that I bought in the last couple of years that I have yet to really sink my teeth into. For my personal thing, I am running an experimental Alarath solo cooperative crossover campaign. It's in a Discord server, and it's Calarath is a solo centric indie RPG from Castle Grief. Love the game. I've fallen in love with it. So what I'm doing is getting a bunch of other diehard soloists, and everybody plays solo, but we're also all combining our logs and our journals into a singular space in Discord, so that our stories are all overlapping, and we're kind of centering it in the basically what it is in the large term is I have put my solo campaign of Calarath up on Discord, and I've been inviting other people in to play with me and
Ah,
tag along. So, and the basic experiment as it is right now is I have a regular Sunday morning session, which is normally when I solo play anyway. So I just hop on my Discord, turn the channel on, and anyone who is available during that time slot is free to join me.
interesting. Yeah, and so if people wanted to do that, how would they find this Discord?
So it's a small one. And I am keeping it invitation only. So anyone
Okay.
who wants an invite to such a place, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on YouTube, and I am now much more active on Discord, of course, because of this stuff. You can hit me up on Discord if you see me in any other servers. I am in the Castle Grief server for those people who are in there. Oh,
Okay,
and
very cool.
speaking of Dungeon Delver again, in the
Mhm.
upcoming Great Underground Online Gaming Convention that he runs in Discord, I have signed up to run 2 Calarath sessions in that coming up in
Ooh,
April. So I'll be running Calarath at the convention this year.
nice. I will be running something for it. I'm not sure what. I ran something from Empire of the Undying Sun last year. The only thing is, a lot of those levels are like just a little too long for the
Mhm.
session. So once I get more of the modules that are coming out with it, I'm going to pick one of those and definitely going to do at least one.
That's great, and I'm so happy that you got the funding goal. That you've got the first edition and fifth edition versions are coming out of Empire of Undying Sun. So that's definitely something to look forward to in
Oh
2026.
yeah. Oh, thank
So
you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Richard Witter's Rudiger's Almanac.
I
He,
have I caught part of, I believe you streamed
oh,
people playing, or you participated in that. Was that somebody else's?
oh, that was Patty's. That was Patty
That was
had people
Patty's
playing
stream.
with.
They
I had
had a
Richard on to talk
session.
about it. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, I'm going to be having Mr. Witters on next Monday on the show, and
Nice.
love his artwork, and again, every time I see him on stream, he's just a wonderful human being. So I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Yeah, I'm very interested in Rudiger's for a few reasons. He and I seem to be on similar wavelengths with make the game how you want the game. And I'm interested in his widgets. So the widgets are like rules that you can plug in. So it would be like, okay, we're gonna do XP by gold or XP by um, killing stuff or whatever. And there's all sorts of different widgets that you can include. And he says he's going to, like with each widget, go through the explanation of like, hey, this is how the game may change if you add this one in there. So
Ooh.
to me, I think that is potentially one of the greatest. I'd say he's probably doing it better than I am with Empire. But like that's one of the greatest features for new gaming is really explaining how the rules will affect the game.
Oh, that's a wonderful part because again, so many things don't get that kind of explanation, and it's one of the reasons why I am generally not a Rule Zero guy. I play raw whenever possible, and Rule Zero is the secret weapon for when the rules don't cover it or it doesn't seem obvious. You just make an arbitrary ruling and maybe think about it later, right? Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's what Rule Zero is for. But like, there are some people I sometimes I watch occasional, Rule Zero. They're playing a game for the first time, and right up front they've got a list of house rules that they're changing, and I'm like, you don't know what you're doing to that game, right?
That is true. That is true.
They may sound simple, but how drastically would Shadow Dark change if you got rid of the death saves or however they do it there, the death timer, pardon me, and then went to -10 hit points instead, like in the early editions of D&D, what if you went straight to dead at 0 hit points? Hi, kitty.
Yeah. So that's one of the most interesting things about it for me. Also, it does seem, it seems that it's well thought out, and it seems like it's easy to get into. Like it's not super complex to create a character, not super complex to just like pick it up and start playing, which I think is nice too. A lot of people might disagree with me. I think that was one of the benefits of 5e is that it was much more simple than, like, let's say 3.5 and some
guaranteed, yes,
and some other versions, which it just happened to hit at the right time when we had an influx of new people to the hobby, so it was easy for them to pick up.
Right. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that it was well timed. I wouldn't put it past WotC to have paid for that product placement in Stranger Things in the first place. It makes sense. It fits the story that they would be playing Dungeons and Dragons of all things, but they could have, who knows if maybe they'd been playing Star Trek, the role playing game or something. Imagine the old Master box there. But
absolutely.
I digress. That's definitely it was great to see 5e, even though I didn't indulge in it or play it at the time. It was just something I didn't have the time at that point in time, and but I really liked them on reading them and thought pretty highly of them. I thought, well, it's a very different game, but this 5e is much closer to the original game than even 3 or 3.5, in my opinion. Those versions were too much of a good thing. Great for players, terrible for dungeon masters.
Yeah. I agree with that. Let's see. Michael says, only part of our Rudiger's playtest? For shame, Jack, for shame. No, that was a good episode.
I accept the shame. It was, I got interrupted. I got a job.
The Pun King wants to know, is Jack's skeleton working out?
Because this is what I do in the off season.
Yeah. Well, your big night is coming up, right?
Yes.
Helping out Santa with all his gifts.
Yeah. And when I am an eccentric billionaire, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the sequel of that movie where it's actually Halloween is about to tank because Jack's been captured and off somewhere, and Santa has to step in and save Halloween for Jack.
That would be. Yes, I agree. My only problem is not Tim Robbins. What's that guy's name? The director.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Tim Burton is another one of those directors who has fallen. in my
Well,
opinion.
hey, can I? Here's the thing. This will make you feel better. Tim Burton really didn't do anything for that movie but put his name on it.
That's true. It was, I believe, it's the
All
same guys from
the
Leica.
writing, the direction, the models, everything was other people. He just happened to. He was the producer. Give him due credit, stuff like that. But so it is possible for him to put his ego aside and gather together talented people and let them do their thing. I don't know if he can still do that. Like to go back to Del Toro, like you mentioned, I have to
Yeah.
say that he gets a lifelong ride free pass from me just for Pinocchio.
I don't know. I couldn't get through that Pinocchio. The one that was on Netflix, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I got through like half of it, and it was
Pardon
like,
me. I'll give him that. Yeah, the story is not that great nor faithful to the original. I still liked it, but it holds a place in my heart because it's traditional old school stop motion animation. The whole thing is, minimal
that's
to
true.
no CGI, and you got to respect that level of dedication in the modern age.
Yes, I agree. I actually met some of the animators from Nightmare Before Christmas back in the '90s. They were very cool, and so I know they did James and the Giant Peach, and I believe that that's the same group that went to form Leica, who's been doing like Kubo and the Two Strings and
I'm
um, some
not
of that stuff.
familiar with those.
I think it's. Oh, you haven't seen Kubo?
Mm.
Oh, Kubo's fantastic. It came out maybe 5 years ago or something. Uh,
Okay.
if I'm sure it's either on Netflix or Amazon, but check it out if you can.
I'll look it up. I don't do the Netflix thing anymore, but I
No.
occasionally I slum it and then I resubscribe for a month or two, get caught up on something, then I get disgusted and unsubscribe again.
Yeah, we get it free with our phone service, so
Oh,
it's like,
bundles. That's how
you
they
know,
get you.
that's right.
Oh yeah, I would watch it if I was getting it for free somewhere. Which, I don't pay attention to such things. Chances are I am getting it free from somewhere and I just don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think we get so Netflix we get free. I think we also get the not Disney Plus, Apple, which I think I've watched like once, and we're supposed to get Hulu, but it's like everything that you get free is the lower tier one, so it's like extra ads for you.
Oh,
Don't be so broke
great.
if you want to watch stuff.
Just what I wanted. Ads for TV shows that I don't want to really watch.
Hey, I gotta finish up Stranger Things. I gotta finish that out.
That's acceptable. I gave up after season 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because I've been watching some commentaries online and they're like, oh, the horrors of season 3. I was like, what? You mean season 2? Because that was the boring one for me.
Yeah, that's what made me get. I was like, after season 1 was great. It's legitimately
Mhm.
the defining one, and then
Yeah.
season 2 was just utterly forgettable to me. It was boring. It had none of the punch pizzazz of the first one.
Yeah.
Nothing interesting happened. So I was like, okay, we're done with that one. And when third, yeah, and then it was, season 3's coming around. I'm like, don't care. I just don't care.
I like season 3. That's when Stranger Things took a turn for the silly. But it was great because season 3 was all about like mall culture and Russians invading America. It's like, yes. Yes, there's nothing more I could want in my pseudo 80s TV than Cold War
Mm.
and excessive capitalism.
All right, I might try it at some point in the future. I make no promises.
Yeah, if you have time.
Okay, but now you're right. There is something cool about reviving the Cold War aesthetic because by the end of the '80s, I would roll my eyes every time I heard about commies. Like, oh yeah, it's Cold War stuff. But now from where I'm sitting, I'm going, you guys did not do enough. You
Yeah.
should have slapped me around when I was rolling my eyes about that. Maybe we'd have done something different. Stop this crap we're seeing now.
So Patty says season 3 was okay, pulpy. I think it was better than 2. Part of the problem with 2 is the kids were apart for too much. And that's what really made season 1 so good, was you had all the kids together. And then there was too much separation in 2. 3 was fun. 4 was great, but I didn't like the ending. More people should have died. They definitely should have had more deaths in season 4 leading up to 5.
That can be said about so many things.
Yeah. He says 5 is meh right now. I don't know. I'm okay with 5 so far. Like I'm willing. They've released half. They're supposed to release basically the second half on Christmas, and then the final like 2 or 3 hour episode is going to be on New Year. So I'm withholding judgment. I'm withholding judgment. Some interesting
You have
things.
plenty of
But
time to be disappointed later.
that's right. That's right. All right. So people can find you on your YouTube channel,
My
which
YouTube channel, Jack McCarthy writer.
If you're on YouTube, just go down below and check in the description. You can find both his YouTube channel and his Twitter account over there. Any last thoughts for the year that was 2025?
I wish everyone the best possible holiday that they can have. I just can't wish anything more sincere than that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end the year. Happy holidays, everyone. I will most likely be off until January, but we'll see. So I'll see everyone later. And thanks to Jack for coming.
Thank you, everybody.